our conditions bearish in this bull market still, and continue to see trend accelerate to the downside. S&P 500 futures down slightly, a little more than 0.5%, currently breaking down through this demand block, this support area. We'll look at that on the SPX chart as well. We're seeing that also majority bearish now at 8 and 6, and slicing through that. I've changed this block from green to red now that we have closed below that price activity. Okay, this is now going to act as potential resistance as markets tend to find some support or are searching for some support. Right here, we've got this overhead resistance also on SPY. So next support area is going to be this 382 location. Let me actually just squeeze that in just a little bit here. And pardon me, and we've got that 5725 number on S&P 500 for the support range. So we could see this area here of support filled from here to here. It could be the next stop for S&P 500 as we are getting some weakness in this overall trend. We're seeing majority bearish on the 1 hour time frame. Also, if we jump over and look at breadth, that also is accelerating to the downside. We're seeing it now at 16 after that move yesterday. Majority bearish on the breadth of the market at 16. That could also, again, as we expand and we start to get to the edges of those trends, we are down approaching that 10 number, and this trend condition is very expanded versus compressed. That could be an indication also of a range to be watching for some support. So if we watch this support area here on S&P 500, let me just move back in just to grab this low point right here, and that support area at that 382, that corrective zone. Now we're out of the momentum zone, now approaching that corrective zone. That could provide some support, but it also could see some acceleration to the downside. It's definitely want to be paying a close attention to market conditions right here. We're seeing VIX also with some bullishness, the 1 hour time frame majority bullish, the daily time frame also majority bullish and starting to expand. We've now been compressed and trend is starting to expand. A bullish VIX is bearish for stocks. So we've got those two things. We've got breadth, bearish, but pushing in extreme. We've got volatility, which is bullish and starting to come out of this compression. We'll see if that means anything for S&P 500 today as well. Short-term bonds, we're seeing those also continuing to sell off. We're seeing interest rates moving higher. We'll look at those charts here in just a minute. TLT also to the downside. The actual bond yields on those, the short end of the yield curve, the 2-year, you can see it's continuing to move higher at 4.39, and the 10-year also continuing to move higher at 4.7. The difference between this 10-year 4.76 and the 2-year 4.39 is this number right here. Okay, this is our yield curve, and it's currently positive, but not by much. You can see the 2-year and the 10-year are paying almost the exact same amount. That's still a flat yield curve. It's not inverted, but it's still relatively flat, indicating that there's still potentially some economic concerns on, particularly with inflation. We saw a good employment number, which could also mean that GDP and things are cruising along nicely. It could be an issue for more inflation. We'll see if the markets start to see that here as well, or if that becomes a factor for the market. Let's look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It had a pretty nasty day down day, the other day, approaching that corrective 50% location, and just continue some downside here. We've got a majority bearish on Dow on the 1 day, and we've got majority bearish on the 1 hour time frame here as well. Triple Qs also showing some weakness here as well. And again, we're still in this overall uptrend, but the upper end of this trend is starting to falter here a little bit on NASDAQ. This is the Russell 2000, so the small cap names also continuing to break down support areas. Majority bearish at 13 now on the daily time frame, so small caps getting a hit right here. We're seeing USO, which is continuing to show some nice strength here as we're seeing this momentum starting to fan out a little bit here. We've gone from compressed. We were talking about this breakout zone. We saw this compression starting to happen here on oil on the 1 hour time frame. This chart is the 1 hour time frame, and starting to continue to expand. Pretty decent day up the other day. GLD, if we look at gold, the gold price is also finding some support right here, and majority bullish at 14. Upper end of that trend has been compressing as we've been consolidating right here, but still a pretty strong bull market for gold, and could see some acceleration back to the upside here on GLD. Also, SLV finding some strength here, a new buy bar back on silver. You're seeing the 1 hour time frame trend also finding some support right here. Let's jump over and take a look at a couple of muscle stock ideas. You've got EXEL with a nice confirmation bar, increased volume back up into the momentum zone. You're seeing trend compression on the 1 hour time frame. That is on EXEL. Also interesting chart pattern is VVOS, which has got that nice confirmation bar, increased volume, big volume, and back into the momentum zone. A couple of really nice looking price structure there, and we'll see if market conditions find some support here in the shorter term. Again, as we are pretty oversold to the downside, watch to see if this number here on S&P 500 50-day moving average stocks continue to slide down and approach that 10 level. And again, these are areas now we may see some acceleration to the downside, but starting to get a little bit oversold in this downside. Keep an eye on this S&P 500 level, next level down around that 57.25 number. That'll do it for today's update. Everyone have a fantastic day today.